Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the T&T Podcast. Here with your boy Torres Finney and my co-host Tyler Layfield. What's up, Tyler?
Nothing much, man. Feeling good coming off of yesterday's win. I can tell you that much.
Hey, feeling good coming off yesterday's win. Let me tell you something. For me, and I know you definitely awesome. You enjoyed beating Tennessee, but for
Oh
me,
yeah.
to Friday, Saturday, and today Sunday, I've had a great weekend of worth of sports. A lot of things to tune into. We'll start off with Friday. I went to see one of my teammates. Oh, not teammates. Sorry, one of my friends that I've trained with before, Johnny Carter. He won in Atlanta, and then I drove straight from Atlanta to my cousin's house, and we watched the spectacle that everybody in the world was talking about: Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
Yep.
Now, going into this, I already knew what the deal was. You want to know what's funny? I think back in 2020, we made a prediction. You remember when who fought? It was who was
Talking about when Paul fought somebody?
Yes, Jake Paul fought Nate Robinson,
Oh,
and
yeah, yes, I remember that. And then he knocked out Nate Robinson. We got the really viral video that I made.
if you made, yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
and then who did he fight? So since then, who is he? So he got Nate Robinson. Then he fought who? Who else has he
oh,
fought?
he's fought since then. He's 10-1 now. Yeah, he's fought
Wasn't Ben Askren one of them?
Ben Askren, Tyrone Woodley twice, Anderson Silva,
Nate
Nate Diaz,
Diaz?
Tommy
Yeah,
Fury. I mean, you name he's fought. He's fought a good bit. I mean, he's fought a good bit.
yeah.
What I'm reiterating to is that was 4 years ago. Jake Paul since then, as I said, he's 10-1, so he has fought. He has fought nine. No. He has fought 10 fights since that date. Mike Tyson also fought on that same day. He fought Roy Jones Jr. Granted, as we know, that ended in a draw. It was an exhibition, and he just didn't look that great. It made
Mm-hmm.
me. It was funny to see so many people on social media actually thinking that Tyson had a chance. Then for them to go and say, "Oh, it's super rigged because Tyson didn't look as fast and quick as he did in his training videos into the fight." Anybody that knows anything about fighting, for one, let me just go ahead and just cut the ice. All that training video stuff, they were cut up. They were meant for Tyson
Mm-hmm.
that way. You never saw Tyson throw a combination and then repeat the combination again. The videos were like combo, cut, combo, cut, combo, cut. That's all you kept seeing. Then you want to talk about, oh, well, he went in shape, blah, blah, blah. He was in great shape, blah, 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 this. Well, yeah, he's in great shape for being 58 years old, but not being in enough great shape to be able to box to a high level necessarily. And I'm not calling Jake Paul like high level necessarily, but in that type of circumstance, in that type of arena and setting, he was going to gas out. It wasn't going to last long.
Yeah.
Jake Paul, as 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 bad as I don't like to say this necessarily, but Jake Paul did in a way. I feel he took it a little easy on him. There were times where he actually could have like hurt Tyson, and you actually saw him just play it up to a decision. Um, Tyson, he looked good for his age. I'm not going to say, look, he went 8 rounds with a young kid that had no chance. I mean, that had never really boxed at his level before, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the hottest thing on the market right now. But Jake Paul is not. He's a boxer. He is. I would give him like a high level amateur, early pro type of boxer that he is. But come on, man, this is just nothing but a spectacle. Everybody knew this wasn't going to be anything crazy. Y'all people fall into this trap every time. They're gonna keep doing this to y'all, and y'all gonna keep falling into it every time.
They're
Y'all
gonna
gonna
keep
keep
making money.
and they're gonna keep making their money. Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
this guy gonna beat him. Oh, he's gonna. When Tyrone Woodley did it. Oh, Tyrone gonna beat him. When Anderson Silva. Oh yeah, Silva's gonna get him. In world champion. Y'all gonna keep falling into this trap over and over. They're gonna keep pulling out these aces. Mike Tyson was one. No telling who they gonna pull out next. And y'all gonna
Mm-hmm.
fall for it. Oh, this guy gonna beat Jake Paul. No, he's not. He is a social media influencer. And one thing about social media influencers, they know how to keep their fans coming back over and over again. Jake Paul, as I have said before, Jake Paul is never going to take a fight that is going to make him look bad. He
For
fought
real.
Tommy Fury, and yes, he lost. But in my opinion, he actually won that fight. But he lost by split decision. That is the best. That in all honesty, that is literally like the best case scenario in a way of losing for him. He lost in like a split decision. That's the closest way you can ever lose.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else, he's knocked other people out. He's beat these other guys. He's not going to ever put himself in a position for him to look bad or lose. So if y'all think Jake Paul is going to get beat or somebody's going to come at him and beat him, it's not happening. Especially that the money that is on the line, it's not happening. So y'all stop constantly riding on these like dreams or like fantasies that you think a guy like Mike Tyson, nearly 60, is going to knock him out. It was never going to happen. Don't fall for foolishness. Please don't fall for foolishness.
I was part of the belief that I thought Mike Tyson could win, at least when I first heard this, news that he was going to fight, but I automatically knew, like, in my mind, like, I was like, I think Mike Tyson could knock him out, because, I mean, I still think that there's, like, enough juice there that I think with one solid punch, maybe he could knock him out. Would you at least agree with that much or not really?
No.
You don't think he's got enough on that?
Tyson can definitely hit hard. Don't get me wrong. And Tyson knock anybody out. But they had on 14-ounce gloves. He wasn't gonna. It was gonna take a combination base, and I just didn't think he was gonna be able to land that combination. If anybody saw the fight, Jake Paul was moving around for those first 2 rounds. He wasn't gonna be able to
try and tire him out and stuff. Keep him. Yeah.
It wasn't gonna land. It's like it just wasn't gonna happen. Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
He's not as explosive as he used to be when he was younger. If we're talking about like a 25 Tyson, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
But he's not explosive like that no more. He's older.
Well, he made some good money off of it, $20 million. I mean, yeah, you knew that. I didn't even give this fight a watch, and I heard about the streaming stuff. I heard Netflix was buffering a little bit and stuff in it.
Booty.
But it was just one of those things. You kind of knew the result before it even began. You knew that Paul was going to win this. So I was like, I'm not even going to waste my time on it, and I'm done giving it my matter of fact, I've been done for a while. I'm giving it my attention and energy because this is all just a spectacle, and people fall for it every time. It's crazy, honestly, the amount of attention that thing got all on Facebook. I saw on like middle-aged women, older women that don't even never talk about fights or nothing, chiming in on it and stuff. Well, he's gonna get him. He's gonna beat Paul. I was come on, man, come on.
Well,
I don't know.
Somebody say, "Oh, he walked up there with them shorts on." A man that walks up there with underwear on, don't fear nobody. He gonna knock Jake Paul out in under 2 or 3 rounds. What? What are we doing? Y'all? Come on, y'all. Yeah. What are we doing?
Not happening. Not happening. Well, the next thing that happened last night, we'll talk about football here in a little bit, but I was going to get your take on UFC 309. I was able to, see some of the results that happened and, some of the highlights of things that happened, but take us a little bit through that card and what kind of stood out to you.
All right, we want to start off with the second most intriguing fight for myself. Obviously, John Jones was number 1, but I will say, we're going to start off with the fight before the co-main event, which was Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. Yes, Bo Nickel got the victory. He won 30-27. I actually thought he lost the first round, but so be it. Yeah, congrats to Bo Nickel, but I wasn't impressed, and I don't think a lot of people were impressed. I just think Bo Nickel has a lot of flaws, and that's a guy that, honestly, I really want to fight. And I think I have the tools to be able to beat a guy like him. And he is what he is. And I put out a tweet right after the fight. Went viral a little bit. I said I want Bo, and I really do. But that's a fight that I definitely would like for myself. It's a fight that I see something really big to go. But I know I have to pay my dues. I have to get some wins myself. But I definitely think that fight is on the horizon. And after saying last night, give me Bo for sure.
Man, yeah, this is not quite. Torres and I, we talk a little bit before these shows. Yeah. This isn't where I thought this was shifting to. This is and this is kind of like I don't know. I feel like I'm in a fever dream because it's the first time that we're in the position where on this show that Torres can make call outs, to guys like the UFC. So, man, that is awesome. You took me off guard on that one, but man, I'm looking up the tweet now just to see what it is that you said. Did not see this one coming. You kind of shook me on that. This is the first time this is happening, and hopefully the first of many. Awesome, man.
I really
There it is. Give me Bo. I see it.
me Bo, man.
Repost.
I really want him. I think I definitely have the skill sets to be able to take away his O. And yeah, like I said, it's nothing personal. It's just I feel like that I am a better fighter, and there's just a lot of different pathways that I have to do to get there. You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't bite off a cookie too fast, and I still got parts of my career that I have to do. Still got to make my debut, so which we'll be looking forward to soon. But um, yeah, right now, everybody always have their eyes on certain people in the division that you want, that you would like to fight, and that's one of mine. That's one of mine.
Wow.
Obviously, it's gonna be a little time before I'm start looking towards the title and rankings and things of that nature. But up to that point, he's one of those guys I really want. Um, so going to the co-main event, you got Michael
Okay.
Chandler, Charles Oliveira. Chandler, oh my goodness, man. Look, I love Michael Chandler, really do. Love Charles
I did
Oliveira,
too.
but his fight IQ, man. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Look, I understand what he does. He always fights to entertain, not necessarily to always the best path to victory. Um, it him fighting is always entertaining, but if you're like looking for him to go out there and like win, you might as well don't even look forward to that. It's gonna be an entertaining fight, but
Mm-hmm.
he, he just made a lot of different bad decisions. But I'm not gonna take any credit from Charles Oliveira. Oliveira looked phenomenal. He looked dominant in all areas, both on the feet, on the grappling. I mean, to be able to take down Michael Chandler like that, like out wrestle Michael Chandler, controlled him easily by taking his back and getting on top and those elbows on top. Um, Oliveira looked really, really good. And then yes, the final round, Chandler. That what made me mad. In all honesty, that fifth round, he dropped Oliveira. He hurt Oliveira really, really bad. And yes, it's the fifth round. I know your Carter. I know anything. Like those lasting rounds, man. Even when you got somebody hurt, it's gonna be hard to do a lot of things. But what made me mad is he had the energy to get up with Oliveira on his back twice and to jump in a
Yeah,
fight.
yeah, I saw that.
Instead, when he had Oliveira hurt on the ground, to utilize that energy that obviously just kicked on out of nowhere to look for short shots to get closer to the finish. Heck, the referee was already giving you behind the head shots, which were illegal. You should have looked
Mm.
for like other opportunities to continue to go towards the finish. But yeah, could he blow his gas tank out? Maybe, but I just, I just don't like his fight IQ at times, and is
Yeah.
pretty aggravating. So pretty aggravating.
But I say you don't always see that move work out with the
No,
where the guy's on the back and you jump back. Like a lot of times, I feel like that ends up coming back to bite you, right?
it does. That's not a good way to get out of that anyway. So like I said, Michael Chandler, just decision making. I don't always
Mm-hmm.
agree. Don't always agree. Then now we go to the main event, the big fight that everybody was paying attention to, the big fight everybody had their eyes on. John Jones, the greatest of all time, the heavyweight
Yeah.
champion of the world, versus Stipe Miocic, some as many may consider the greatest heavyweight in the UFC history. Um, had great fight starting out. And then when Jones got that takedown, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, Jones dominated. Jones, it didn't go any different than how I just about thought. I told people we're gonna end in the first round. I said I think Jones is gonna carry it out a little bit. I predicted ground and pound in the second actually, but he beat him with a spinning back kick to the body in the third round.
It looked nasty.
He was toying with him, man. I don't care nobody. He was toying with him, and toying with a guy like Miocic just shows you how great he is. Now, granted, Miocic, very similar to Mike Tyson, have fought in 3 years.
Last
Uh,
fight was that Daniel Cormier.
no, last fight was Nagano when Nagano knocked him out.
That's right. That's right. And then he did fight Cormier before that, right? They had like a little
In 2020
yeah.
in
And that was a
August.
fun. I remember that was a fun fight. I kind of liked watching that one. To be
That
honest with
was a
you.
good. That was a good fight.
Yeah.
That was. So Stipe has, he definitely showed his age in that fight. John Jones showed that he still is elite, but John Jones
How old
has
is he now? How old is John Jones?
he'll be turning 38 in
Wow.
I think next year, sometime next year.
Yeah, still looks to be in good shape.
He is. He is. So the big question is everybody got right now: is he going to fight Tom Aspinall? I do not think so.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw the
he,
comments afterwards, and it got immediately shut down by Dana. The Perea stuff, yeah,
yeah, he's not because that fight doesn't make sense. John
it
Jones,
don't.
John Jones gonna just take him down. That's all he's gonna do. Like
He don't
that's
want. Yeah, yeah. Dana already sees through that.
yeah, like that's. But Dana did say they are two grown men. If that's what they want to do, he said,
Wow,
I'm
I don't.
open.
I don't think Perea wants that though.
Well, depends. Depends. Pereira, Pereira. Look, the money talks, bro. Money talks. But
That and the ego.
that and ego, yes. But John Jones, I mean, Dana did say he would try to basically bring in the brake trucks and try to get Aspinall versus Jones. But Jones don't want to fight Aspinall. Right? And Jones made a great point in his interview. He said, I have fought enough of dangerous up and comers. I want to fight dangerous contenders, established fighters who are legacy fights. He's at that point in his career where he can do that. I think the UFC at times has that WWE esque part where in WWE, if anybody knows about it, um, after you've had a long reign, great career, they say put somebody else over. Meaning the young guy comes in, he beats the old guy, now he takes over the mantle, and now boom, that's the new star. I think that's similar to what the UFC wants for Aspinall. But the problem is, I John Jones just want to ride off into the sunset on top, just only going against guys around his age. Problem is, John Jones, you're still really elite. So they want you to go against the best guys. So it's not
Yeah.
like you're an older guy trying to fight other older guys, just trying to get, like right for instance, like Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. Those guys just doing big time epic fights, knowing their chances getting towards the title is relinquished. Like they ain't winning no title. They ain't nobody, none of them big boy beat Islam Makhachev. So all they doing, they just fighting each other for them BMF title, just having fun fights. So after that, they can go and retire. Similar to what John Jones wants to do, because he said he wanted to put the BMF title on against Alex Pereira. But you're elite, John Jones. You're the heavyweight champion of the world. But he said he has no problem vacating the title and say, hey, Aspinall, you can have it. So if that's the case, look like we might not be getting Aspinall or John Jones. And I really don't think we are. So
Yeah, a lot of people have talked about that. That's like I remember people were kept saying they wanted Aspinall for him. So, what are the odds of that? You think like if you had to put a percentage number on that, if that fight's going to be able to go?
I would say, oh my goodness, what a catch. I would say potentially um I probably would say that fight has like a 20% chance of happening. I don't think John Jones is adamant of not letting it happen. Unless they just pay this man a freakish amount of money, it's not happening. I don't see it happening. No.
All right then. Well, moving on to college football week 12. So let's go back and of course where we're kind of going to end on this one. Just look back on kind of what happened this past weekend. Go ahead, start us off a little bit about Colorado, man. I know you got to talk a little bit about them. We made it in our picks. I ended up swinging toward Colorado. I'm glad I did because they put B to A on Utah this weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Look, let me tell you something right now about Colorado. Colorado is a hot team right now.
They are.
And I think everything's playing in their favor. At first, I thought having to be the one to beat BYU would be huge for them, them beating a top 5 team. But I feel like Colorado wins out and win the Big 12 championship, regardless of who they play in the Big 12 championship. They're in the playoffs. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I think that helps their case even. I think it makes the road easier. They look phenomenal, man. Arizona State plays BYU this upcoming Saturday.
This week,
BYU is
just
on
lost
the road.
to Kansas.
Just lost to Kansas. And I'm going to tell you something. Colorado cannot sleep on a Kansas team. This Kansas team has beaten 2 back-to-back ranked teams. Went on the road and beat Kansas, came back home, and then beat a top 5 ranked BYU. You cannot sleep on this Kansas team if I'm Colorado. This is a trap game, as they say.
It is.
And I think we're going to see how good Dion can make sure his team is smart played. Like, even if they, I think, to be honest with you, I think even if they lose this game, they're still going to have a shot towards the Big 12 championship. But I think that Big 12 champion winner chances diminishes greatly from being in the playoffs, I feel, because I know they take the top 4 out of the 5 champions um, at large bid, but you had a team out of Washington State for the Pac. Well, now it's the Pac-2.
Pac-2.
The Pac-2. They lost. They got upset by somebody this past
New
week.
Mexico by 3. Yeah, 38-35.
So look at that. And they only had 1 loss at the time. Now they got 2. So, and they was a highly ranked team. So, like, you can't be putting your entire conference at risk by losing to these teams inside of to the bad teams inside of your conference, which we're going to get to later on about the SEC. You know, you can't be losing to all of these teams that you're supposed to be inside your conference. Yeah, you might go and win your conference, or yeah, you might be the second or third best team in your conference, but that don't mean you're going to automatically have a good playoff spot or even be in the playoffs. So Colorado has to take advantage of this game. They look phenomenal. Travis Hunter, I don't care what nobody say, he's my Heisman. I know a lot of people have been arguing Kenzie. I know people have been arguing Dylan Gabriel. But for me,
Gabriel, how did Gabriel? I mean, we're going to get to that, but they struggled. They struggled with Wisconsin this past weekend. They only scored 16 on Wisconsin. Gabriel only had 218 yards passing, no touchdowns. He had an interception, and he only ran for 7 yards. So, I mean, that doesn't help his case there. I think you have a really – I mean, you're right. Travis Hunter's been playing really good. The only other guy, really, that sticks out a ton is Genty. I feel like it's definitely a two-man race right now. I mean, let's see if the odds have been updated. Let's look at the Heisman odds real quick, because I know last week we looked at it. I feel like this is a thing weekly. You know, it's good to take a look and see where things are. Travis is definitely leading the way. Next up, you got Genty. After that, it's Cam Ward. So that's your 3 at the moment. It looks like Gabriel has taken a pretty significant step back.
Yeah, I forgot all about Cam. Cam.
Yeah, but Travis is the far and away right now. He is the favorite right now. He's the only person in negative, figures. He's minus 350 on one place, minus 330. Next highest, like I said, is Genty. He's plus 350. Then you got Cam Ward at plus 1400. So it's definitely looking like Hunter has the edge there, and you can't really argue against it. It's not a thing that you can really say he doesn't deserve it. No, the dude's doing it on both sides of the ball. The last guy I feel like that did anything similar to this, I guess, and he didn't play defensive side, but the last guy I remember talking about in this similar fashion is Devontae Smith. You remember when he was making his Heisman campaign? I was all on board. The dude was doing it on special teams, rushing, pass, I think he even had a passing touchdown.
Yeah,
you'd seen it with Christian McCaffrey, and who was the guy that? Do you remember Jabril Peppers when he was making his case?
Well, I actually thought you were going to say it first. Yes, for Michigan.
Yeah, Jabril Peppers. He was doing it on the defensive side.
Yeah, he was on both sides. That's right.
Yeah. He was doing it like that. But anytime you can alter the game in a multitude of different ways. Genty, I know he's a great running back and he's killing it. But at the end of the day, it's rushing the ball. Hunter, he's doing it on both sides and he's making big, impactful plays on both sides of the ball. So
it's because people have been saying okay, he's not top 10 in any category currently, and I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you this: who is playing elite football on both sides? This man,
it's just him.
He's only missing 5 snaps. I said, if you want to say this about him, then you have to also say a guy like Charles Woodson should have never won him Heisman, because he never really led in anything really. This man, Travis Hunter, is about to potentially have. He's about to have over 1,000 yards. He already got double-digit touchdowns. He's literally only has given up 1 touchdown the entire year defensively. He's ended games. He's won games. Tell me what he can and can't do. All right? You tell me what he can and can't do, then I'll concede. But guess what? He's doing it all on the freaking field. And if if Colorado, I told you this, if Colorado was able to win at least 9 games, I said 9, he would win Heisman. They're already at 8. What are they at right now?
Yeah.
They're going to win their 9 games. Heck, and if they win that conference championship, I feel like it's even more in the. It's all even more.
You got to give it to him. Man. He just looks good. Um, yeah, like you said, I mean, we can go ahead and talk about it real quick. But yeah, Kansas, you mentioned them. They're coming off the big win against BYU. You're right. They're on a little bit of a streak here. So when we're looking at that game here in a little bit, when we make our picks, that's just something you definitely got to keep in mind. They, they did just beat BYU, and then the weekend before it was Iowa State. So Kansas had a really good team last year. It looked a little weird this year. It didn't look all the way right. So now that it looks like they're starting to pick up steam. I did just briefly mention it, but Oregon struggled this week on the road against Wisconsin, only winning 16-13. I didn't really get to catch much of that. I was busy yesterday, and really the only games I ever caught were some of the Arkansas, Texas, and then the Georgia Tennessee game. I had to try to save that phone battery for the ride home. We were in Augusta yesterday, so I was like, there's one thing I got to save the battery for, and it's definitely the Georgia Tennessee game. But were you able to catch any of the Oregon Wisconsin game?
No, not really. I would
Yeah,
just, I actually ain't gonna lie to you. I thought Oregon was just gonna really go in there and run through Wisconsin a
I
little
thought they
bit.
were too.
But that doesn't surprise me in the slightest that they struggled. So, because I've said this on this podcast, I've said it to a lot of people. I am not sold on Oregon, and I've said this about every team. There's nobody elite in the college football this year. There's nobody that's head and shoulders over anybody. So yeah, Oregon might be the only undefeated team, but just as fast as Oregon is the only undefeated team, they easily can lose to any team from 1 through
They
10 or
could.
1 through
They
12.
could. They
So
could. But
uh,
they're the closest ones that I've seen to be toward that. Like to me, they are number one. You know what I'm saying? Like I cannot deny that, and they're the closest team to what I would kind of term as like a team that is the best. I don't know. Would you say that there's another team that you've seen? I mean, to be honest with you, and I know this is going to tick some people off, but the only other team I've seen this year that really scares me when they're really running hot is Alabama. Like when Milrow's really going, man. That team is real scary.
they
That
are.
offense is very, very, very scary. So like it's Oregon and it's them. That's the two that have really stood out to me most.
I would say it's them, and then I would say also at times Ohio State. I
Yeah,
know
Ohio State. Ohio
a
State. Yeah, I could agree with that.
lot of their games, and I've been impressed. They will at times, have some lulls, but who hasn't this entire season?
Yeah,
And I don't nobody say Ohio State should have beat Oregon. Was it for the quarterback, misjudging?
yeah,
They should have beat them. And like
yeah.
Oregon played a really good game, but like we're talking about an Ohio State team. Only loss is to the number one ranked team by 1 point on the road driving down the field. So it's not like Ohio State isn't right there behind Oregon, which they are
Mm-hmm.
honestly ranking, but they are, and I think they are that good. So it's going to
Yeah,
be an interesting run towards the end of the season for Oregon.
yeah. Only other team I could probably maybe even mention, but really the tail's going. This weekend's going to really tell it is Indiana. We're going to really see what Indiana really is about, what they're really made of this weekend. When we make that pick here in a little bit of them going against Ohio State. Other things of note: South Carolina was able to beat Missouri at home. Brady Cook being back, so 34-30. Florida beating LSU. We did make that prediction here on the show. We took Florida with the points. I wasn't necessarily confident enough to take Florida outright, but Florida with the points, it just felt like that was pretty good. Brian Kelly, man, it's people are automatically going to bring up hot seat. Do you think that that's actually a legitimate thing though? It can't be, right? Because the
I,
buyout. We were talking
say
about
that.
this in a group chat.
I won't say yes to that because
Yeah.
one. So again, I've said this before. Where are we going to find a better coach? Where are you just going to jump up like who's going
Unless
to
they
jump
go
up?
get the buddy from Indiana or something. But he
Yeah,
just signed a contract extension just to make it a little bit more, like where Indiana's going to take care of themselves when he does end up getting poached. Because it's only a matter of time of when that guy moves
so
on to a
somebody's
bigger
going to go.
program.
Good's going to go grab him. But see, this is the problem, and I feel like this happened with our O line coach that's at Arkansas right now. I'm sorry, what's his name?
Pittman.
Uh, Pittman. The problem is you leave and go to these schools. All right. Now you're in the school like at LSU, like in Arkansas. Now you're in the deep end of the SEC, all up on you. It's all on you now. You already not getting these top tier recruits necessarily. I know, like Arkansas, LSU is.
Yeah, but I
L-
say LSU's a different tier.
yeah, LSU is a different tier, but They're still having to compete against Alabama. They're still having to
True.
compete with teams like Georgia, Ole Miss, like these Texas A&M. These are hard teams in the SEC. All right.
Yeah.
The moment I don't win, let's say that necessarily don't win. Let's say I lose 3 or 4 games, but I'm competing with some of these top guys. I can't just get mad and be like, oh, he got to instantly be on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
Give these guys some time. Give them some years to continue to get better. I need to see Brian Kelly for at least 5 years before I make the decision. When did he get there? 2021?
Yeah, he's only been there about what, maybe 3 years. You know, and they were just great. You know, they just had just a year ago, Jaden Daniels. You
Heisman.
know, awesome. Yeah, Heisman in the SEC championship game, right? Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't that long ago, man, that they were doing pretty good. So yeah, you can't say it yet. He is going to need some help though, because they're not going to wait forever for and keep giving you chances over and over and losing to unranked teams like that. Yeah, so that is something to keep in mind. But it automatically gets brought up every time, so it's worth at least discussing. Then the other thing I brought up, Texas Arkansas. I got to see a little bit about that. Good friend of the show, Jackson, brought up in the chase like is Quinn Ewers actually good? Like are we sure he's good? And were you able to catch any of that one?
No, I did not. I was watching.
Yeah.
That was Colorado was going on during that time.
Yeah, it 20-10. They really struggled with Arkansas at Arkansas. You can't discount the away game narrative. I mean, all the crap that people give Kirby. When Kirby says road games are hard, road games are hard. Road games are hard.
They are hard.
Ask Tennessee. Ask Tennessee about last night how hard that was.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like ask Texas going into Arkansas whether or not Arkansas is a 5-5 team or not. It's difficult going into those atmospheres. Whether it's ask LSU. Whether it's a noon game, a 3:30 game, a 7:30 game, it is hard. Okay, and you can't discount that. But this was the final stat line from him. He was 20 of 32, 176 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he rushed 5 times for -5 yards. But I mean some of that was probably QB Neals, at the end. So can't go crazy into that. So not a terrific day by any means, but something to keep an eye on. Texas, they may end up after we talk about Georgia, Tennessee here in a second. When we talk about this SEC stuff, we need to talk about Texas and where we see them in the SEC, because I have some thoughts of my own. But let's go ahead and get it into Georgia, Tennessee. Georgia, Tennessee, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was able to catch every bit of it. I was riding in the back. We went to go support niece of mine as she was in a cheer competition. It was fun. I actually ended up getting into that stuff, but it was fun. We watched it on the way back.
What competition at?
It was in Augusta. It was not. It was like little kid, competition. It wasn't the championships. Kiefer texted me. He was in town because his wife went to that. So I wish I could have seen him. But not gonna lie, it started off pretty rough. Going the 3 and out. Nico them getting up 10-0. I was ready to call it. I really was. It just looked like more of the same. And then to me, man, everything shifted on this one key play. And the one key play that it really stood out was when Carson Beck scrambled for that first down where he nailed that safety and he got up and he did the he did that right there. Yeah, when he did that, when he pulled that when he pulled that out, and then he connected with Delp for the touch, that changed everything. It changed. I feel like, honestly, I don't know what it is about that play, and it has nothing to do with passing because it was a rushing play. But I don't know, man. You can come up with whatever theories you want to, but I think there was just a confidence level that he began to play with. Like, I can actually do this. I'm having fun doing this. I'm willing to put the ball out there, play free, play loose. And you saw it the rest of the game, man. He was delivering. Of course, we had a couple times where people were still not catching the ball. We can talk about that at some point, but he really played a heck of a game. You got to give it to Beck, man. He played a heck of a game. So first and foremost, give him his flowers. Another guy we got to apologize to for or not really apologize because he still has to prove some more. He still has to do this on a consistent basis. But another guy we need to kind of give his credit where it's due for last night, Mike Bobo, man. You gotta get, for all the crap we give him, for as much as I was out on this man, last night was a heck of a freaking performance by Mike Bobo. Mike Bobo came to play, brother. He drew up some really nice plays, some really good stuff that like nothing was the same. Again, dude, I had to mute that group chat on Group Me. I had to mute Kobe. Kobe was about to he was about to piss me off, literally commentating on every freaking play. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done with it. I'm watching the game.
Look,
I'm done with it.
made me mad when he was like, "Why in the world are y'all doing a deep
I'm
shot
throwing.
play?"
Here we
I'm
go
like,
again.
bro,
Yeah, throwing the deep
it was
shots.
a good play. I said I said I've seen nearly every team in the history of football do that. It's just like it's a shot play on first down just to see what you can get.
You know he's trolling. You know he's just
I
trolling.
know. I'm like,
He's
bro.
just trolling.
He's like,
And he's a good troll. He's a good troll. Just like, we can all be pretty good trolls, but Kobe knows when to pull out the troll, man. And that was a good time. You were right though. It really wasn't a bad play.
it
What
was.
would the narrative have been if Arian actually held on to that ball?
Thank you.
That's a great play.
We've
That's a
been
great
talking
play.
all year long. Like, look, I'm sorry. We what? We don't supposed to throw a deep ball because we hope we expect our receivers to drop it now.
Yeah.
No. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, that's a good play. It didn't work. That's the reason why it's on first down. It's not like we did a shot play on 3rd and 10, or 3rd and 1 or something on, in the first drive. Like we did on first down on the first play of the game.
That's fine. I was fine with it.
Safety is guessing, or the corners are keeping them on their toes. Just say, hey man, we'll throw this over the top of your head. You better be ready. Just keeping them on their toes.
For real. Yeah. He threw a lot at him, and it was never the same thing over and over. He gave a lot of different looks. He played a guy last night that hasn't touched the field really at all this season in Nitro Tuggle, and I don't think Tennessee probably game planned for him at all. He had an interesting play, and we can get into that here in a minute as well. He did a lot of really good things, a lot of different things that deceived the linebackers, had the linebackers moving one way, the play going the other. It was a really, really good performance by him. Another thing you got to notice here, and I don't know if you saw this, I ended up seeing the stat later on. The starting offensive line, Torres, that we trotted out in the very first play of the game is the same offensive line that stayed in the entire length of that game. We did not rotate people in this time.
That's pretty
and cool. Look how it worked out.
It did.
I don't know. Maybe all the rotation stuff. Maybe it's not Maybe it's not in our best interest to do that as much. I don't know. Taking out Ernest Green. You saw Ernest Green wasn't our left tackle. You saw Monroe Freeling started there.
And
God dog, did you see how he freaking played?
Played really good. He did. And
yes, he did.
Act at all last night. So
hardly ever even pressured.
Exactly. Like we had time. So I'm gonna go back to this real quick because you did say Bobo called a really good game, which you are right, he did. But that first quarter had
it was rough.
Questioning a little bit because that first quarter it was back to screen left. Screen
it was
right.
The screen thing. I know. I got you.
But you're right. Once everybody settled in, the game changed, and I think that's what I need to see more. So we'll see what we saw yesterday is similar to what we saw in the second half against Alabama. Once the confidence is inside of that offense, inside of Bobo to, hey, let's call these plays, we look like freaking the Carson Beck that was presumed to be the Heisman favorite at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
That's what we started.
Or the first pick in the draft, all that crap that people were throwing out. Yeah.
When the receivers are actually holding on to the ball, we look elite. But then you have the time
when he's got time to throw, he looks elite.
It looks elite. Then you have the times where how we played against Texas or how we played against Florida or there's been some bad game where he's throwing 3 picks and we're like, what the freak are you doing?
Not a single one this time. Not a single one yesterday.
So he looked a lot better. I would like for us to establish a run a little bit more.
Hard to do though. Hard to do. ETN. I don't know if I texted this with my the group chat I'm with Wilkins and Tanner and some other guys. ETN's out for the season. I don't know if that's really something that's came out. He's not coming back. Yeah, he's not coming back. That's the last I heard. He's done for the year.
I did not know that.
That hasn't been. It hasn't been. It's not like a reported thing, but from what I've heard, go ahead and just get that. Go ahead and put that in the back of your mind. He's probably. It looks like he's done. So it's going to be down between Frazier, Cash Jones, Branson when he gets back. Bowen's got in yesterday.
Branson's coming back. I thought he was out for the season from The
Who?
spring.
Branson? Branson might come back late. It'll be late in the season or playoffs. Yeah, that's what it'll be. So he will be at one point able to probably come back, but you got to keep that in mind too. That's why Dylan Bell was getting reps. Dylan Bell, by the way, hasn't been reported yet, but I can tell you right now he's got a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So there's another guy down.
Look,
We are
look,
running
look,
thin.
look. And I've said this already. And I had an argument in my other group message. He's like, we must be soft for us not wanting to play in the SEC championship game. And he said, oh, that's like in their eyes, a P word move. But let me tell
Oh
you
yeah,
something.
yeah. Family friendly show here. Family friendly show.
Look, UMass, Georgia Tech, rest week for SEC championship. No, I would not want to play in the SEC championship if I am Georgia. Look,
Yeah.
if I'm on the football team, I'm talking as a fan. But if I'm on the football team, bring me anybody, we beat everybody.
Yeah.
But
If you're on the team, that's the mentality I want him to have as well. Yeah, give me anybody. Let's get it. Let's go for the SEC championship. I like that. But I'm saying with you, I'm thinking in my head. You know, I know where you're leaning with this because we told Kobe last night. You make it to the SEC championship game with 2 losses, you lose that, you're done.
you're done. I don't care what
I don't
nobody
care who
says.
you are.
I
I don't
care.
care who you are.
You're not going to have 3 losses and you're going to sit here and think you're going to still make the bro. They're like I said, you're going to have Indiana, Penn State, whoever the ACC champ loser is. Like, I don't care. Those guys they're going to have the nod over it. They're like, well, wait a minute. You look at them playing the SEC schedule, bro. The committee is not going to give 2 craps.
They don't give a flying you know what about schedule.
They don't.
They didn't care that
Bro.
Georgia beat the #1 team on the road. They don't care that Georgia lost to Alabama on the road. They don't care that Georgia lost to Ole Miss on the road, and they were willing to knock them out of the playoffs. Should the season have ended last week, they would have went with Georgia outside of the playoffs.
Exactly.
And another thing you have to remember, it's not how many losses you have, it's when you have those losses.
When you have those
The losses you have at the end of the year, it means more to them. They got such recency bias.
Yep.
If you have a loss later in the year, it is weighed so much more heavily than a loss at the beginning of the year.
Well, that's why
It is weighed so much more heavily.
and that's why I was explaining it to multiple people that if Indiana loses a close game to Ohio State, Indiana right now is ranked 5. They are not dropping out of the top 10 if they lose. People don't understand this. We can't think as if we're on the team when we're talking about this. We have to think about like how the committee thinks. That is a good loss in their eyes. Because Ohio State only loss is to Oregon, who's the #1 ranked team on the road. So if I go to Ohio State and I lose a tight game to Ohio State, I have a great chance of making the playoff because Indiana ain't playing nobody else the rest of the season. Penn State lost to them at home. Guess what? Penn State chilling. They know they ain't playing in the Big Ten championship. But all they got to do is out. Who cares? Same thing with Notre Dame. Notre Dame know they ain't playing in the championship. So look, all they got to do is what? Win out.
They're playoff bound, bro. They're playoff bound.
They're
so
playoff bound. These teams.
That's all they care about.
So people don't ever pay attention to that. So that what gets me when I hear, well, it's the SEC. They don't care about it being the SEC. If they would have cared about it being the SEC, you wouldn't have teams like Alabama and Georgia on the outside looking in. Like when Alabama lost to Tennessee, they dropped all the way down to 15, 14? Like, come on, man. Like, let's be real. I know they lost to Vandy. That's the reason why I said you cannot be losing to these teams that are unranked in your conference. You can't say, but it's the SEC. No. They ain't gonna care about that. You lose to unranked teams in your conference.
Yeah.
An unranked team is an unranked team to them. They're looking at all these conferences as almost equal. The only thing that helps you is if you have like a few more ranked teams that you're playing that you're losing to. But if you're losing to an unranked team, you are hurting yourself. That's why I said it helps Georgia a little bit. Is not too much help, but we lost to 2 top 10 ranked teams. Ole Miss wins out and Alabama wins out. They're going to finish both 2 top 10 ranked teams. That helps our case if we just went out. All right. If we want to lose to a Georgia Tech or even potentially lose the SEC championship game, we're not getting in over a 1-loss Indiana. I don't care how many ranked games we lose.
Right now, so let's look at it real quick.
We
Because right
also
now,
Alabama last year ranked number one by 4 points in the championship game. We dropped to 6. Like what?
that's all
Why?
you gotta say. And then what was it? What was it that year? The year we lost to Alabama in the SEC championship, and we got knocked out then as well. I mean, the committee has never really cared about who are the whatever number best teams. They really don't. They really don't care. And I don't even care. Just because they've increased it to 12 doesn't mean all of a sudden that they're going to start caring about putting in the top quality teams. They're going to leave you out based off of record and things of that nature. I mean, right now, the rankings, Oregon, who does Oregon have left to play? They got Washington next week, and that's it. Or not next week, but the week after, and that's it. And then they got their Big Ten championship game. Ohio State, they've got Indiana this week, Michigan the next. So we'll see about that. That is two kind of hard games back to back. Texas going against Kentucky this week, A&M next week, and Texas,
Where's the Kentucky game at?
it's in Texas, so they should be fine. They should be, but I mean, yeah, being at home's going. And the A&M game's going to be at A&M. That's important. And I think right now, if I had to put who should be the favorite in that game, it's going to sound crazy. Well, it may not even be. It may not sound crazy anymore. A&M should be the favorite.
I agree with you.
A&M should be the favorite in that situation, and I think they will win that. I'm going to be honest. I really think they're going to come out and make that thing happen. Alabama, all they got left. Oklahoma this week. Auburn the next week. The only real thing, I mean, I don't think Oklahoma. It is at Oklahoma. I don't really care. I don't think that's going to make a difference.
I don't know, man.
The one you always got to keep an eye on though is Auburn.
Yeah.
And Auburn did look pretty good this past week, putting 48 up. They actually looked okay, but it was against Louisiana Monroe, so nothing crazy, but still, you know they're going to bring out some crazy crap against Bama, man. And you just know. Indiana, like you said, all they got is Ohio State and Purdue. Purdue sucks. So, I mean, if they have a close win against them, Penn State, like you brought up, they got Minnesota this week at Minnesota, and then Maryland. They're a lock. Ole Miss, it is Florida and Mississippi State. I think they're pretty locked in. Tennessee, it is UTEP and Vanderbilt. I think they're pretty locked in unless they drop that one to Vanderbilt, which the way the season is going, it might could happen. Miami's got Wake Forest and Syracuse. Syracuse could be one to watch. But I don't know. That's what we're looking like at the moment. The other thing to bring up before we leave week 12 and really the Georgia Tennessee talk. The defense Tennessee scored 17 in the first half. They didn't score a single point in the second half. That was really great second half performance by Georgia, which it seems like that's their kind of MO this year. It's more of a second half team, but I mean they didn't do awful in that first half. I mean it went into the half tied up. The other thing to bring up is the calls. Okay, because I don't know about you. Have you gone on X this morning and seen all the? You're right there. You're right there in enemy territory, my man. I know you've been hearing it
on Facebook. Everybody, all the Tennessee fans. Look, I even was trash talking to a Tennessee fan that kept messaging me on Snapchat, and he messaged me at all the second half. And yeah, guess what? They were cheating for Georgia. Georgia always getting all the calls, this and that. And I'm like, okay, can we hold this for a second? Like, I don't care what nobody say. Hug the face mask. I don't care what nobody.
Yeah. Now that one's not even that's a non-negotiable. He reached up under the helmet. I don't care what you say. They call that crap. They call that. I think it was just last week. What game was it last week where somebody caught somebody? It was like it wasn't under the face mask. It was underneath the helmet. They still call that. They call that a face mask.
That's a face mask. Yeah, that's a face mask. Like even if you just do this, just the small tug.
Graze that. Yeah.
They'll call it. When they saw the guy head turn, they're going to call face masks. Don't be like, oh, it wasn't. It don't matter how egregious it is. Yes, and I know people are like, well, I've seen them not make calls on worse face masks. I agree. That's called missed calls. We understand that. But guess what?
The guy's helmet, if his helmet didn't come off, it probably wouldn't have been called.
But
it did. The whole helmet came off, though. And it was because it was like jarred loose. Yep. So I don't know. I'm not gonna go crazy over that one. I mean, is it something that I would be pissed off if it happened against Georgia? Yeah, I'd probably be pissed. I wouldn't blame it the game. I'm not. y'all are talking to the wrong person right now if you think I'm gonna blame crap, because Torres, we went through it all. Well, it was last year with the Isaiah Bond catch. You remember that crap?
Yep.
And not one time did I blame the game on it. And not one time did I even refute it. It is what it is. They reviewed it. It is what it is. You live, you move on, and guess what? You still have to step up and make the plays when it matters. Okay? You don't leave it up to the judges. You know this. You don't leave it up to chance. You take care of business when you should on your own terms. So I don't really care. And then the other thing that Hypo wanted to whine about in his press conference. He wanted to whine about, and I'll give him a little bit of slack on this one because I even laughed at this in real time. I told my father-in-law, it had me dying. He was driving. I was like, they literally just did this. When the refs were letting, Ole Miss do they were letting them bring in their substitutions, and then they stepped off the ball for them to be able to snap it. Georgia snapped it. They didn't get the first down, but they went back and reviewed it that the guy wasn't off the field yet. I have never, not that I can recall, unless I'm tripping, unless for some reason I'm just forgetting something. I have never seen them review that before.
A 12th man going off the field? No, I've never seen that either.
I've never even heard of that being a thing.
I never heard of that either.
I would be kind of pissed at that one. I'm not gonna lie. Like in my shoes, if it happened against Georgia, I would be pissed off about it. Now, was it legal for them to do? Apparently so. Because they did it. And the guy that who is it they get? It's not Gene Steratore, is it? The guy that they get, the rules analyst, the referee that they have on the air.
Well, they're not since they're on ESPN now.
It's some other guy, but he came on. He's like, yeah, they could be reviewing it for this, and I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. So apparently they can. And
I didn't know that either, bro. Like when you're speaking to the choir, like I didn't know that as a guy was running off the field, they were So what happened was, did we complete that pass or no?
It was. I think it was an incomplete pass.
Okay.
Because if we had completed it, they would have just declined it. Because you can decline that.
Yeah, because they reviewed that, and then I think it was I had never seen it.
And it made it from like a 3rd and 8 to a 3rd and 3. I think
Exactly.
That we converted later on. So yeah. Georgia at the beginning of the game, they weren't really getting a lot of things going their way as far as like just anything momentum wise. Like it was a lot. It was like an uphill battle at the beginning, and then the momentum kind of shifted once we started playing with confidence. Even like Dylan Bell on the forward lateral, and I don't. If you want to complain about that one, I don't really get that because when you toss it like this, it is a pass. Like if you come back. Yeah, that was incomplete. Yeah, they were complaining. I saw people complaining about that one. That's an incomplete pass. Now, if he would have held it out and gave it to him, that's a different ball game. That's a different ball. That's a fumble. If you toss it out, that's a forward pass.
Everybody knows that's a pass.
Yeah, but there were still people complaining about that one. Then the other one, which it could go either way. If I were a Tennessee fan, I probably would have been upset about it too, but the Oscar Delp dropping the pass.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty tight. You can make the case. Yeah, he didn't get 2 steps in. He didn't get 2 steps in.
That's always been it. If you get
it was close
steps to establish the ball, establish the catch. That is the catch. We come now. Why change stuff that we already know? Come on now.
Well, what they're going to do is say, well, then that step was one, and that step was that. They'll dissect it and try to make it into. And like I said, being an opposing fan during the heat of the game, I would be upset as well. But I've never been the kind to come out after the fact and make a whole spiel on social media about how this ruined it and how this ruined the game and blah 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 blah. The fact of the matter is, you scored 17 in the first half. You didn't score a single point in the second half. Okay, then you got outscored, in the second half as well, 14-0. So I mean, it just there's really no ways around it, man. Like that wasn't the determining factor here. Did they help Georgia sustain drives? They did, but the real penalties were real penalties. The penalties for the fact that, like I told you, the only things I can really stick up for you on a little bit was the 12th man on the field. Like that was very nitpicky. That maybe that was God gifting Georgia that crap back after the botched, Texas thing, all that crap. Because I don't know, but it really wasn't even that
I
bad.
will say
So
the ball did definitely bounce in our way on a lot more times than usual this
especially in
game.
the second
Yeah.
half especially.
Yes,
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So, yeah, it was good game overall. Good play by Georgia. The defense stepped up second half. They got pressures. The atmosphere really made a difference. You had people jumping off sides there for Tennessee, or false starting, better yet, and everything for Tennessee. People stepped up when it mattered. London Humphreys made a real big catch there at the end. Just snagged the ball out of the Tennessee defender's hands for a catch. That was awesome. That there at the end, the white dude, 16. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah. That was good. Urasek made a good play. Delp had the game of his life. Frazier
Delp,
did good with the
he finally showed up what we've been looking for from every.
yeah everything we had heard about.
Yeah, we
He
finally
looked.
showed.
He finally looked like Delp that we would want. Yeah. So, good game overall. Cannot complain. So yeah, finish it out with UMass and Georgia Tech. So, any last thing about college football week 12 you want to cover here?
No, man. The season is getting down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
We're gonna see, and it's great to have a lot of these games. All like you say, come down to the wire at the end, because you have to know, like, playoffs are coming, man. It's about to get real interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's time for our week 13 picks. We don't have a ton of them this week. We're just gonna go with some main quick hitters. We got 5 good matchups here. First matchup we're gonna be looking at is number 11 Ole Miss going against unranked Florida. Florida coming off the big win against LSU. Ole Miss is going into Gainesville as a 9.5 point away favorite here. Okay, so the way I see this going, Florida, I'm not gonna lie to you, Torres, and you probably crack up at it. You know how I feel. My thoughts on Florida. I thought they were really gonna suck. I gave them 2 wins going in. They're at
Yeah.
5. They have overachieved, man. They might get what? Who are they finishing
Florida,
off with? They're finishing off with Ole Miss, and then who's our last game?
Florida State at the end of every year.
Oh wow. So yeah, they might can make. They're looking at a bowl, right? So I mean, yeah, they can go 6-6 and make a bowl unless Florida State decides to play spoiler and screw it up for them, which would be hilarious. I would love that. I would absolutely love it if they were to do that, but it just does not look like it's going to happen. So, Ole Miss, obviously, the last time you and I really sat there and watched them, they were tearing up our dogs, and they look good on both sides of the ball. I don't think that changes here. I think they go into this game, they look pretty good. I'm gonna give Ole Miss I'm gonna take Ole Miss to cover here. I think they win this by at least a touchdown and a field goal.
I agree with you. I think Ole Miss definitely covers here. You got to remember, man, Ole Miss is on the verge of making it to the postseason, and all they have to do is win out. And Lane Kiffin, you can't mess this one up, bro. You got Florida. Florida's the toughest game you got. Then you got Mississippi State. You can't mess this one up. You mess this one up, it's gonna be really
That's
bad.
on you. Yeah, that's on you this time. You can't blame the talent on your roster. You can't blame anything. That's on you if you go in and drop this. It
Yeah,
is what it is.
they
So
cover.
it doesn't get much better than finishing off with Florida and Mississippi State for a team that needs 2 wins. So yeah, I think they go in and cover. I heard Lagway looked pretty good this past weekend too.
Yeah, man, Lagway did look good. Yes, he did in the LSU game. He did. Lagway showed up.
So we'll see if that plays a part in this week's game. Next up, I'll let you kick this one off. You got your number 17 Colorado Buffaloes. They're 2.5 point favorites going into Kansas, coming off those 2 big wins. They might be, well, no, they're not going to be ranked going into this upcoming week. I don't think so. I don't think Kansas has played their way into that. What is Kansas' record?
They're like 4-6, 4, 5, and
Yeah,
6. One of those.
so probably not. Probably not playing. They're not on their way to getting into a ranking probably yet based off of that. But kick us off with it, man. Let me hear your thoughts on this one.
Well, this is really interesting right here because we're talking about a team like Kansas that has an opportunity to not only spoil Colorado playoff hopes, but to spoil the entire Big 12 playoff hopes. This is a big game because with BYU losing, that's huge. And as I said, I got BYU losing to Arizona State. So we have an opportunity to see a really, really big game right here. I'm going to say that Colorado covers for sure. This is going to be a trap game. I don't think this is just going to be no easy peasy, but I do think Dion. This is one of those games, Dion, where you. I know it's not like the top tier ranked team, but this is a game where you settle your team down and be like, look, this is a playoff game. Our next two games are playoff games. So every game from here on out, Colorado is a playoff game. They must treat this as such, and I feel like they will cover.
Yeah, they're on a roll. They're looking good, and then the other thing is their defense is starting to look, decentish. They're making okay plays.
Out got them boys playing, boy.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to argue with it. Kansas will give them a tough run for a bit there. I think they'll keep it close for a little while there. I mean, it is only 2.5 points, so I mean, we could see a close-ish game here. But yeah, it's hard not to stay in the flames with Colorado. They're on fire right now. Yeah, give me them to cover the 2.5. Next up, we got number 15 Texas A&M. They're going in to Auburn as a 2.5 point favorite, as the away favorites. We all know that playing at Jordan Air is a tough place to play, man. Auburn's coming off of a big win against ULM. I know that sounds hilarious. Big win against Louisiana Monroe, but they actually look good in it. Cameron Coleman, the wide receiver, looked real good. Peyton Thorne was actually throwing the ball pretty good. Could they be building some momentum going into the end of this year, trying to finish things off the right way, maybe get a decent recruiting class, show enough to these recruits that maybe they can get something in for Hugh Freeze and company? I think so. I think we might be starting to see something. Is it enough for me to really go in on them for this week? I don't know, man. This might actually be an ugly, close game for quite some time. I just think A&M obviously has more to play for here. They're trying to get to the SEC championship game. That has to mean something to these boys. Elko's been a great coach for this team so far this year. I got to give him some credit here as well. They've been rolling with the other quarterback, right? Not Wegman, the Marcel Reed, right?
Marcel Reed, ever since he stepped into that game against them, and who was it? Was it South Carolina? Was it LSU?
I think so.
Was one of them.
I think it was South Carolina.
He stepped ever since he stepped into that game. No, actually, because they lost to South Carolina. It was LSU game.
Okay.
That game and showed out in that when Whiteman came out. It has been elite, and he has looked elite. So I'm really excited to see him, play on the road in this big game against Auburn. Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for A&M. I want to see the big game between them and Texas. Texas is going to be rocking. Texas, Kyle Field is going to be rocking.
Yeah, I want to see that as well. So give me A&M to cover that 2.5.
Same.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that. All right, number 24, Army. They're going against number 8, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 16.5 point favorite here. I really hope Army pulls out this. I would love nothing more to see Notre Dame go down this late in the season to possibly knock them out of playoff contention. I would love it so much. But I sadly just don't think it happens. These things don't happen, man. Notre Dame is going to end up winning this thing. Is it going to be about the 16.5? I don't know. But to be honest with you, they've been playing well enough that I think it could happen. So, yeah, I'll take Notre Dame. I've been rolling all favorites so far. Let's keep the train going.
Notre Dame, since the Louisville game, the ranked Louisville team they beat, they have averaged at least over 30 points per game, 31 points. Their offense is on fire. Their defense is playing really, really good. I actually got Notre Dame to cover this and cover this big time. Don't see. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people joke on Notre Dame and say, "Oh, they don't play nobody," but they've played 3 ranked teams, and this is their 4th ranked team they're playing. Now, yes, they're not the best ranked teams in the country, obviously, but they beat a Texas A&M that we're talking about. They beat Louisville. They beat Navy. Now they have opportunity to play Army. They're going to beat Army, and I think they could definitely win by 17 points.
The only thing that really draws my attention, and it's something that has to have been on Marcus Freeman's mind. Just going against a team like Army, you know that you're not going to play another team that does triple option. Besides, don't they play Navy? Notre Dame, I think they play Navy, right? So I mean, they do play them. Do they play Air Force? I don't know.
No, not this year. No, they play.
Yeah, so they play both of those. I mean, just playing Notre Dame, they've already played Navy, right?
They already played. It beat them 51.
How did they? Okay. Yeah. So that ain't.
They're going to beat
Yeah.
them. They're going to beat
Yeah,
them.
they're gonna beat them. It's just always something about playing those triple option teams that late in the season they can get you. Speaking of which, Jones County, they're going against Marist here this upcoming week, and they run that triple option. So we'll have to see how they. I was talking to Dad about it. It's probably not. Apparently, they know how to run it and run it well, and they got the pieces to do
They're
it.
gonna beat it too. That's going to be hard. That's going
That's
to be
a
hard.
lethal. That's a lethal combo. If you can run triple option, you got the players to do it, and you know how to run it well. And these teams don't play. You don't play these kinds of teams all season, then it's going to be tough. So, last one we got number 5 Indiana going to number 2 Ohio State. That Ohio State is an 11.5 point favorite, and I think that going into this, Indiana is undefeated. Ohio State only has the one loss against Oregon, so it was a good loss. But going into this one, it's hard for me on this a little bit. 11.5 is a weird number. Indiana is the type of team, they've been great all season. You want to buy into the hype. And I think I'm going to buy in a little bit. I think I'm going to buy into the fact that Indiana can keep this one close. And I'm going to take them with the 11.5 points.
So we did just see Indiana. Was that 2 weeks ago or last week? Or was it? I mean, I'm sorry. Was that 2 weeks?
Where they played who?
They played Michigan. They beat Michigan 20-15.
There you go.
Michigan is a really good defensive team. At least obviously they don't score many points. That was 2 weeks ago because I remember in Vegas watching that. So they edged out that game. They barely got by that game. Now they're going on the road. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Ohio State team. I don't think they come into this game lacking. I definitely think they come to this game fully prepared, on point. Everything is ready to go. Give me Indiana to cover, but I got Ohio State winning.
There you go. That's exactly where I'm heading. I think that they have enough in the tank to keep this one close, and
Yep.
they know the ramifications. Indiana, I think that coach really knows what he's doing. I really do. I mean, it's no secret. And the guy's a good coach. He knows how to get that team up. Ryan Day has struggled with good teams in the past. We've seen him struggle, so we'll see if this works out to that or not. I really think we're going to see more of the same for them. Keeping these things close. Indiana maybe even giving themselves a chance to win in the end. So, but yeah, I'll stick with what you said. I'll take them to stay within those 11.5 points, but not technically win it. So, yeah, man. Well, that's going to be it. Any last things you want to talk about here before we end the show?
No, man, I want to say, look, go Steelers, go. We beat the Baltimore Ravens,
Yeah.
number one team. Looking like the Bills look like they're going to crush my undefeated prediction. I did say this was the only game that I was worried about.
Yeah.
Them going on the road in Buffalo. As we've seen,
What's the current score right now?
it's 30-21 with a minute 30 to go. Kansas City's driving. So unless there's some type of miracle, which we've seen with them happen, but unless there's some type of
Yeah.
miracle, I think this one is over. The undefeated streak is definitely over. But we've definitely seen a team like Kansas City over and over and over again to consistently go into Buffalo. They play Buffalo. They've lost to Buffalo the last 3 times in the regular season. So this will be the 4th time in the regular season that they have lost to Buffalo. And then obviously we see what happens when the playoff comes when they play Buffalo. So it just continue to keep repeating this thing. But regardless, Kansas City is a really good team. Buffalo is a really, really good football team. Pittsburgh, we're a really good football team. Beating a good Ravens team, beating a Commanders team. It's going to be interesting. The Lions look phenomenal. 49ers did just lose to the Seahawks. Geno Smith scored with 12 seconds left to upset them on the road. That was
Wow.
so. Football is interesting. I'm loving it, and we got a lot of playoff football for high school football. So I'm coming to Macon next week to watch my brother Northeast play Lamar County. Hopefully win that one. You got Jones County and Marist. You got Thomas County Central. Coach Roger and the boys playing Rome. So it's going to be a interesting week of football coming up. So
For real.
really interesting month. Carrollton, Juju, as we just saw, decommitted from USC.
I know. I've already seen a screenshot of one of your texts. Tanner sent it to me.
Yeah, he's going to Colorado. Yeah, he's going.
Yeah. Yeah, unless something changes, which I don't think. I can't see Georgia going out of their way to meet these demands
He's not doing it.
of what Juju, wants, or what his dad wants. Better yet, I just don't see Georgia going. If it's on Georgia's terms, sure they'll take him, but I just don't think that we're at that spot. So yeah, he's probably going to Colorado.
No, he's not doing it. No,
Not at all.
he's going to Colorado.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what Georgia does if they're able to swing anything with anybody else. But yeah, I definitely saw that. I was going to ask you about it, see what you said. I thought about asking that earlier. So, thanks for the intel.
Yeah, yeah. I say no, know of a little birdie that's really close to mine. He's committed, so he's going to Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you for all of y'all that tuned into the live stream. Thank you out there for listening to the podcast if that's how you tuned in. Appreciate all the support you guys give us. Feel free to, continue that support. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere Apple or anywhere podcasts are located, better yet. Give us those likes, those follows, those shares, anything like that on our social media pages, and we really do appreciate it. Continue to come out, tune into the live streams, tune into the podcast, and as always, we'll see you next time.
Boom, boom.